to the scene. These cases are a little bit difficult in the beginning stages because the nature of the way the body is discovered and where the body is discovered isn't obvious whether or not we have foul play involved. So we're working this as a suspicious death until the medical examiner can perform an autopsy. The autopsy will help us determine whether or not foul play is involved. So at this point, we're looking at a suspicious death, and then we'll determine from the medical examiner's autopsy whether or not we're dealing with foul play. That would shift this into a homicide investigation. Right now, what we know is we have a male victim. Our crime lab is here. Our detectives are here. The investigation has just gotten underway. And in situations like these, while it's not always an easy investigation, these are solvable. So our detectives will be working with surveillance footage. They'll be looking at which trucks were leaving their load at what times. They'll determine which truck it might have been, what route that truck was on. There are investigative tools we can use, and we have solved cases like these in the past. So we have solved cases like these in the past, so we have every reason to believe this is solvable as well, and the investigation is underway.
So I guess what makes it interesting is that being on a conveyor belt, that means that a truck emptied their load, and is that what we have? I mean, like,
what's the access to that conveyor belt?
Access to that conveyor belt?
So most likely, this body got here off a truck, and the next steps are to find out which truck it was. And that's done through a series of investigative tools, through using surveillance, through working with the company to determine which trucks were offloading at what times. And so they'll backtrack to figure out how this person got here.
Can you boil that down for us in a sequential manner of how that body could have gotten there? You said it came off a truck. How does that work? Can you boil that down step by step, sort of?
I don't know that I can take it step by step because I think it's probably not something that's always consistent. It depends on multiple factors. We don't know for sure where this load of recyclables came from. So once surveillance and interviews with the company take us to the point where it's determined how that body came into this facility, then they'll work backwards from there.
Was there any type of identification on the body?
I don't know that at this time. The medical examiner is on scene. Let me rephrase that. The medical examiner will be on scene, and once the medical examiner is here, then we'll be able to move the body, and that'll tell us a little bit more information. But it's going to be the autopsy that's going to help us determine whether or not this is a suspicious death or a homicide.
Is there any obvious trauma to the body that you know about this time?
That's a hard thing to determine at this point, which is why we need the autopsy.
How many times has this happened at this facility this year, do you know?
This year?
I recall didn't one happen a couple months ago?
Not to my knowledge, no. We did work a body on a conveyor belt at a different recycle center.
Northeast Austin, right?
And I think that may have been early this year, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know that how did it get into the truck?
We don't know that yet.
But he's picking up recycling, so he's picking up containers, assuming, right? And dumping containers.
There are too many variables at play. We don't want to assume anything. So what we'll do is follow the evidence and let the evidence take us to where it happened.
So lots of legwork, cameras, find the truck, and then you backtrack.
Right. The first step will be to determine how that body got into this building. And then we'll follow the next logical steps until we can go back to where everything originated. And we make no assumptions along the way. We let the evidence take us where we need to go.
Did you give a description of the body? Male, female?
Right now, all we know is we have a male.
Male?
Male, yes.
No age or anything
Adult?
like that?
Adult male is what I know.
Male?
I think so.
Okay.
And it's behind the building right there. Is that where we're...
Yeah, where are we talking that it was located? Over here?
It's up on that property behind me.
Oh, the property behind you. Okay.
Inside the building?
Inside the recycle plant.
Now, so this is a different. I know, like just for fun, these are recycled trucks, not like garbage trucks, right?
That's what
So
I
those
understand. What I
bins
know
are-
for sure, it was a conveyor belt in the recycling center.
Okay.
And those conveyor belts are manned by employees. Right?
Correct, correct. So there were a number of employees who were working, sorting the recycling as it comes through on the conveyor belt, and that's when the body was discovered. We got the call shortly thereafter.
Oh, that's got to be traumatic. What are they doing with those employees?
I can't answer what the company's doing.
Thanks.
Thank
All
You're
right.
welcome.
Thank you.
Y'all, thanks for waiting. I appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Oh yeah. Anytime. Scott.
I only ran a few people off the road to get here on time.
I'm so sorry. I just